So most of you guys have already heard from the news that the United States government is planning on banning TikTok soon, just like they did with Huawei and anything else that is made in China. Now, this isn't because the United States, hates China or hates anything made in China. This isn't because Orange Man bad, Orange Man hates China, Orange Man hates Gen Zs, Orange Man hates TikTok or Huawei. It definitely isn't about that. And this isn't specifically just about stopping the Chinese from spying on us. I think it's much more complicated than that. There's just a lot of reasons why we should always cut ties with China. And one of the biggest reasons is, of course, the pandemic that is going on right now. As you guys might know after watching my video on the topic, which I'm going to pin in the upper right-hand corner, the Chinese Communist government are the ones that are solely and uniquely responsible for the coronavirus and for causing this to become a pandemic in the first place. The Chinese Communist Party are also a bunch of corrupt pieces of shit that lie about pretty much everything on a day-to-day basis, and it's funny to see the lamestream corporate media rooting for China and saying, "Oh, China is so strong. They are going to screw us on trade in response to COVID-19 allegations," and things like that. Like on CNN or MSNBC, or I believe it was the Washington Post, like one of their big front page headline like a couple months ago was, "China flexes its muscles on the world stage for recovering from the coronavirus pandemic." And it's kind of funny and interesting because everyone trusts the Chinese case totals for some reason. If you watch or listen to the legacy media, China has somehow magically cured coronavirus and everything there is perfectly fine and great, with nothing but rainbows and lollipops and ponies and unicorns, and everywhere else in the world is like crippled because, evil Drumpfler. And it's complete asinine bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. It's obviously not reality. Either things are far worse in China than they're letting on, which is plausible, or things are about to get considerably better elsewhere in the world. I think it's the combination of the two. I don't think there's going to be a second wave of COVID-19. That uptick in cases in the United States right now is meaningless. I think because of the uptick in cases from young people that we're seeing right now here in the United States, that second wave, because of herd immunity, that second wave is going to be considerably more of a flat curve than what people initially estimated and worried about. And I think that's great news. Wait till November or December if you want to potentially have a problem at that point, and probably try to lock things down again, cause another recession, and probably initiate a new world order or some stupid shit anyway. In the sense of China, it's funny because they're obviously getting nervous. The Chinese government is worried about the rest of the world pursuing to castigate them. Some countries are thinking of banning TikTok or have already banned TikTok from their country's app stores. Some countries have already banned Huawei from being sold in their countries. And some countries are even going as far as doing full-blown investigations on China and things like that. Not only because of the fact that the Chinese spy on other people in other countries, but they're also essentially responsible for this pandemic in the first place. Let us remember, and I know I keep saying this a lot on my social medias, but I'm gonna say it again in this video, and I'm gonna keep saying it and keep pointing this out over and over again, forever and ever. China lied, people died. The Chinese government ran a biolab, whether it was for weapons or medical research, and they isolated a new virus that they've discovered in some species out there in the jungle somewhere, and they were attempting to test and probably build a vaccine, find a cure or something, doing medical research or weapons research, and some idiot doctor either had a hole in his glove or he got sloppy and got bitten by the infected bat and didn't tell anyone because he didn't want to get fired or lose points off of his social credit score. That's probably what happened. It didn't have to do with the wet market. It didn't have to do with them deploying this virus meaningfully or deliberately. It didn't have to do with U.S. sabotage. The Chinese Communist Party has been telling its own people that the U.S. government released it, something like that. Nope. It was basically just China trying to cover its ass over and over again after completely ignoring the outbreak, letting their own people get infected, and then letting the whole world get infected and kill millions of people. That being said, they're starting to get a little anxious. TikTok is actually down worldwide as of recording, and I guess they're also targeting Indian and Australian exports because India and Australia just banned TikTok from their country's app stores. The United States and Canada are also thinking of doing the same thing, and India and Australia, as well as the United States and Canada, and even the UK, are also now calling for an investigation following their ban on Huawei and TikTok. Now, I would ask this, and this goes with something actually that was alluded to in Optimus's video on the same topic. One of the things that Optimus said in his videos about China that I think was the most inaccurate, and this is something that has been repeated constantly by neoliberals, paleoliberals, and people on the left, as well as even a few neo-libertarians, is this illusion that China is prevailing and it's going to be replacing the United States soon, and it will take over the entire world, and all of these other very far-fetched things that were said about it. Now, Tucker Carlson, I believe, pointed this out several months back, and that is that China's strength is an illusion. They project this illusion specifically for the ambitions and goals of keeping investments coming in. The second that the illusion is fractured, they collapse. That's what will happen. It's already happening now. India, Australia, the UK, France, all just banned TikTok from their country's app stores, and Canada and the United States are also thinking of doing the same. And the countries that just banned Huawei and TikTok are also planning on doing a full-on investigation on China as well. And China does not have the resources, the capability to target all of the nations at once that wants to ban their companies and investigate them. I mean, let's keep it a $1.50. Do you really believe that China can handle having their biggest companies like Huawei or TikTok completely banned from all the countries that said that? Do you honestly think that China can shut off exports and or excise and tariff everything from all the nations that have said any of that? Because it's half of Asia, most of Europe, the United States, Canada, the Oceanic countries, parts of Africa, parts of Latin America. It's basically the whole goddamn world. It's almost the entire world that say that they want to ban TikTok and investigate China. Do you really think that China has the economic capabilities to deal with that situation when it's a major export muscle reliant for and in part on raw materials from half, if not most of the nations they're seeking to actually tariff and excise? I don't think the Chinese is capable, economically speaking, of doing that, especially when some of their companies based there are getting embargoed by those same nations. Now, Styx Hex and Hammer 666 has referred to this illusion as the paper dragon in some of his videos. The whole idea is that Chinese growth and the illusion of growth leads to the illusion of imperialistic industrial and manufacturing superiority, which leads to more illusion of growth and more illusion of power. All of it is investment driven. Essentially, it's a pyramid scheme. Like, it's almost like a scam to the whole world. It almost kind of piggybacks to what Tucker, Laura, Styx, Jesse, and even to some extent Anomaly and Dave Cullen of Computing Forever have been saying for almost a whole year now. The time to get out of China was like 5 or 6 years ago. Nonetheless, people are now coming around the fact, now that other countries are threatening to boycott, they're threatening to ban or have already banned Chinese products and software from their countries. They're threatening to even investigate. I mean, it's really, we don't even need an investigation. We already know that China spies on everyone around the world with their own companies. That's a no-brainer. And we already know for a fact that COVID-19 just happens to arise a couple miles away from their only high-level biolab, which also happens to be the largest one in the world. Okay, total coincidence. I mean, it's a total coincidence that happened. No. It was just someone was just eating bat soup and then they felt sick and had flu-like symptoms. I don't believe that. Because I think if that virus had or would have been in a population of animals that were being predated upon, retroactively and scientifically speaking, I would think they probably would have arisen in the human population some time before. Because considering its transmissibility, I think it would become evident if that was the case. But it didn't happen, obviously. The virus got isolated from a far-off jungle or mountain range somewhere in the middle of Asia or Oceania, like in some cave or tropical rainforest or desert island or some other remote area in the world where there's nobody living in it. Some bat that they found had COVID-19, this particular species. They discovered this disease in a bat or a pangolin or a snake or a fish or whatever the fuck animal they want to blame it on, and they isolated this exact virus in a lab, and then it escaped because of negligence. Someone decided to cover their ass, and local officials decided to cover their ass, and then their higher-ups decided to cover their ass, and then Beijing finally decided to cover its ass, even forcing their own people to cover their ass. That allowed it to spread throughout the Hubei province, escape the country, and become a global pandemic, killing a bunch of people, canceling all sporting and recreational events, and causing all of these draconian lockdowns, social distancing measures, and all these major authoritarian changes to be forced on us in almost every country in the world. China lied, people died. It is right to investigate the cause, although keeping it a $1.50, you're not really going to find anything at all because we all know how adroit China is of covering its ass. And I think it's pretty good that presidents, prime ministers, and governors are starting to stand up against China and embargoing some of their products, including Huawei and TikTok, even though you're going to piss off a ton of people my generation for actually taking TikTok off the App Store, which might be the only downside. I mean, I use TikTok, well, at least I used to. I just deleted the app off my phone, and I suggest some of you guys to do the same as well, and I'll probably be disappointed that I won't be able to get to use it again. But it really shouldn't concern me that much. People on TikTok should be able to go on Byte instead, or just start up a YouTube channel. I suggest everyone to stop using Chinese spyware or anything from China and just go on and move on and use something else. Use an alternative like Byte, which is from the creators of Vine, or go and start watching YouTube. I guarantee to you, Charlie D'Amelio and probably the rest of the D'Amelio family are not going anywhere anytime soon. Actually, you know what? You know what's an even better idea? What we should do is just sue China. Yes, absolutely. China should be sued by every country around the world. Let's all sue and embargo China. China spies on people in and outside their country. China is solely and uniquely responsible for the pandemic and for literally making 2020 the worst year in human history. They should even be banned from playing in the Summer Olympics next year. Let them liquidate their wealth and repay the world for all the problems they caused. We need more reparations too. We're gonna need reparations for all the elderly that were killed. We're gonna need China to pay the almost 600,000 families that just lost members of their family. And by the way, Cuomo should be paying these people too, considering that he had the brilliant idea to put infected people into nursing homes without any reasoning or logic whatsoever. And then he starts blaming the CDC for his actions. The CDC and the WHO only called for that in case of overflow. There was never any overflow. Florida and Texas are seeing increases in cases, and so far, we have no overflow. They basically built a new hospital in under 10 days that was never even used. There was never any spike in cases. Yes, there might be a rise in cases right now, but the majority of these new cases are from like young and healthy people, so they're gonna be just perfectly fine. I guarantee the death rate is gonna start dropping. Oh my god, the whole world is ending. We're all gonna die, said Cuomo. Give me tens of thousands of more ventilators. That never even used any of them. We need to start intubating patients that don't even exist. We need to shut down everything. We need to quarantine the entirety of my state. We need to take kids out of schools. Give me more money. I'm such a great guy. That's basically what Cuomo and Trump to some extent said. Chinese are doing the same thing. I don't believe the Chinese case totals. Not even a little bit. No fucking way. Chinese case numbers are an absolute goddamn fucking joke. You're telling me that a country with that many people in it only suffered like 84,000 total cases out of the 1.5 billion people that live there? That's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. It's complete asinine hogwash. Their medical reservoir isn't more adequately advanced than any other industrial but still developing nation, which has a sharp divide between the broke peasantry, which if one of them gets COVID-19 and dies, you can guarantee that it's not counted as a case or a death, or an expanding and emerging post-industrial middle class in some of the coastal and large city areas. Oh, and by the way, that's how you can tell that China is developing, because it's beginning to build suburbs and towns. It's beginning to start expanding further and start building more and more cities around the areas and start building more metropolitan areas, building more factories and polluting the atmosphere even more. Yeah, China deserves every punishment they get from them. We shouldn't even trust China anymore. China ruined 2020. China is the reason why the class of 2020 didn't even get a proper ceremony for graduation. Didn't even get to walk the stage. Chinese spies on people. They use its Muslim population to manufacture pretty much everything that we have and use on a daily basis. That's why everything is so cheap when manufactured in China, by the way. In no way am I ever trusting a nation with a corrupt, garbage, communist government ever again. And I generally feel sorry for all the Chinese people who have lived through all of this, being bossed around and spied on by their commie government. China is asshole and should not be trusted in any way, shape, or form. And in case you're wondering, since a lot of people have been asking, yes, despite the Chinese Communist Party sabotaging my senior year, I was still able to graduate. I got my diploma in the mail and still got a little bit of a senior parade to make up for it. So yeah, we did it. we basically got to graduate. We didn't walk the stage, unfortunately, but we got our diplomas. We had a virtual ceremony to make up for it. Some of us dabbed and did stupid shit on the virtual stage during the virtual graduation when their name and picture popped up, which those people have now been looked down upon, in my opinion. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Don't forget to follow me on all my social medias. Links are in the description below. And I would also like to hear your thoughts about the United States and maybe even the rest of the world planning on banning TikTok, holding China accountable for pretty much everything wrong in 2020, for spying on our people without our permission, and for even causing a global pandemic to occur. Love to hear all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Anyway, like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and until then, take care, talk soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. This is Axiom, signing out. Peace.